Hi. I'm going to start here with this pothos that I recently repotted. I picked it up and it was incredibly root bound and it wasn't able to keep water very well, so I had to take it upon me to do some repotting. I did lose a little bit of leaves. It used to be a lot bushier, but it is coming back. This has been rebounding and I just have it here up on a perch so that its tendrils can fall beautifully. Over here, I've got a snake plant. I have a lot of repeat plants in every single room because I have a lot of like the basic essentials, the air purifiers, and then I have a few other like unique ones sprinkled in. Anyways, okay, so I've got my very, very tall snake plant there. When I first got this plant, it was down to here, and this is a whole new shoot there, so it's growing. It's a happy plant. This one was pretty small, and it hasn't been getting as much light as some of the others, so I brought it here in between these windows so that it can try to thrive a little bit better. This is a pothos that I had completely clipped down because I forgot to water it for a super long time, but trying to start to take better care of my plants now that hopefully I'll be on the mend soon. Anyways, you can see here we've got a lot of new growth, and so yeah, happy about that. Here is another beautiful, big, fluffy pothos, and I think this is called like a moonshine sansevieria. Is that right? I don't know. I'm not up to date on the current plant names and the changes and all of that. Okay, I just like plants and pick them up and try to keep them alive. Hi. Here is the dog zone, and we've got some plants here that I'm going to walk you through. So here we've got one of my newer plants. It's this tall corn plant, I think is what it's called. Anyways, I recently got it and I'm already starting to have some brown leaf issues. So if you have any plant care tips on how to take care of this plant, let me know. I've killed one in the past. I'm trying again. Over here, I've got yet another pothos that I am trying to bring back from the brink of extinction. As you can see, I do need to go through and do some plant care. That will be a different video. I'll also be doing some cleanup chores with you. As you can see here, I've got like, these are little flowers that have fallen from my new spider plant. I recently picked this plant up and she is a happy mama. Look at all of those happy babies. So yeah, I really like this plant. I've killed one of these in the past, but it was a lot smaller. And I feel like it's easier to take care of larger plants than it is smaller plants. Although I started off with a lot of small plants and they've gotten bigger over the years. I'll have to do a repot chatty video so that you can get to know me and tell you how long I've been into plants and stuff. But for right now, we're just gonna tour my plant collection to start. So here I've got another snake plant that's trying to get some more light. I had it in a darker area, and so I have it here next to this pothos that I'm also trying to recoup. This back window here that gets the most light is like kind of like my recoup window. When I've cycled plants out of spaces that didn't have enough light to keep them happy, I'll bring them here to give them a boost back into some like good healthy life. And as you can see, it works really well. I've got all this new growth. This one here is another snake plant. I like to have a lot of snake plants where my dogs sleep so that they can have a fresh oxygen. And yeah, that's this section of my plants. Let's move on with the tour. Here I've got a snake plant that was about this tall when I bought it about 4 years ago, and it's really tall now. I have this ribbon just kind of to like keep the stalks from falling over. Here I've got one of my favorite snake plants. I think this is called a bird's nest snake plant, and this has grown so much over the years. It started off with 3 main plants, and as you can see, it has like had so many babies. I, again, need to come through and do some plant care, but I did just go through and water, so I've already watered. Here is my ZZ plant that is looking really beautiful, super full and happy. I really love ZZ plant leaves. So I do need to come through here and polish some of my plants and do some dusting. Here is my big peace lily plant. She's really happy sitting here on my fireplace. Here where I've got my dog gate. This plant I got when it was a lot shorter. Like all of the leaves were kind of like those on the side. They were all that tall, but those are all new babies and the leaves have grown all the way up to there now. So yeah, she's grown a lot. Over here we've got a baby peace lily and another snake plant. Really like my snake plants because they give oxygen 24 hours, like even at the night. Here I've got a ZZ plant that is literally holding on for dear life. I clipped down everything else that was really dead, and I'm hoping it's going to come back from the brink of death. Here's one of my recent acquisitions. I've wanted this plant for so long. I finally got my hands on a nice, like, full specimen that wasn't too large and too expensive. So far that's going pretty well. I need to find a better spot for it, but it's sitting here with these other plants and facing the window there. Here's one of the dark ZZ plants. I forget what this one's called, but it's down to a couple of little stalks here, and I'm hoping to do something with that. This is like my sickly little room. The only nice plant that I have really is that one, but I need to my dogs. I need to repot it so that it can get out of this like store planter that it came in. Here is another pothos that's hanging on for dear life, but as you can see, we've got some signs of new growth happening. And here is another one of those bird nest type of Sansevieria plants that is just exploding with new growth all the way around, and it just looks so beautiful. I love how the leaves just come out all pretty. I need to come through here and water these plants. I haven't done that one yet. Haven't done this room yet. Here I've got 3 plants that are holding on for dear life. This one's really special to me though. I mean, I'm hoping this one's gonna pull through. I put it here in front of this bright window so that it can hopefully bounce back. This is the last remaining parts of the massive overflowing 65 to 70-year-old aloe vera plant that my grandmother had. This was some of the baby offshoots from that older mother plant. So this is like the 2nd generation plant from my grandmother's aloe vera. And I have to say, it's starting to look a lot better and happier now that I brought it up here and it's getting a lot more sunshine. So hopefully this summer it will thrive. I just moved this plant here in front of this window because I had it in a north-facing window that didn't get very much light, and that's why all these stalks are starting to get really skinny and they were falling over, and that's why I had to put this trellis up with it. Anyway, I'm hoping that this plant will strengthen up a little bit in front of this window, so we'll see how that goes over the next few weeks. All that remains from this window, I used to have like 5 or 6 different plants. All that remains is this one snake plant that is holding on for dear life. I keep forgetting to water, but I did just water it, so hopefully it will bounce back. I opened up the window so that it can try to get a little bit of light. Yeah. Here in my child's room, I've got a couple of, like a few snake plants to help purify the oxygen and provide fresh air at night. And a peace lily plant here, which I did just water, so it's starting to perk back up. So here in the teenager's room, I've got a lot of plants that help to purify the oxygen because, you know, teenagers are a little bit smelly. And obviously, it's a teenage boy because girls aren't quite as smelly. And if it was a girl's room, I would probably, you know, have my plants in a better aesthetic for them. But, you know, boys don't really care. So, yeah, anyway, this is good enough. So, yeah, this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different snake plants that I have here, and a pothos that was a bunch of clippings, like a trimming that I'm trying to regrow. And so far, it's doing pretty well. Let's get a close up here. So you can see if I lift the leaves in here, you can see that there is some good growth happening. Here for this one, I need to go through and pull out some of this like dry dead stuff. Again, I'm gonna have to come through and do a plant care video with you to be able to really fix some of these issues. But this plant here is barely hanging on. Probably needs a little bit more light. This north-facing window is pretty tough on these plants that want a little bit more brightness, but some of them are doing okay. See, they want bright light. Even though a lot of people think that they want like medium to low light, they really don't. They want a lot of light in order to thrive and push out a lot of new growth. Anyway, yeah, let's move on to the next section of plants, which is really like my favorite part of the plants. And I have not cleaned. This video was completely impromptu and spontaneous, but here are my favorite section of plants. So here I've got, it's my dog sneezing. Here I've got this ZZ plant that I recently brought in here so I can keep an eye on it and remember to water it because it's got a lot of dried up stalks, as you can see there. Got this peace lily plant here that I'm trying to grow from a little baby plant, and it's doing pretty well so far. I have this other snake plant here that probably wants more light than it's getting. I love that planter back there. That used to be my mom's planter. She gave it to me, or maybe I just took it, I don't know. But this is one of my favorite snake plants here. It has grown so much. It started off like this tall when I planted it, and now it has really grown in size, and I just love the sunny, cheerful, happy planter. Here is another pothos. This one is thriving and doing really well. We've got a lot of good growth happening here. This one was a rehab plant. I had to cut it back and give it some time to flush out some new growth. Here we've got another snake plant that is doing a lot better now, but it was starting to struggle there for a while. Here I've got some plants that block my windows so that like when I forget to close the blinds and I'm changing without closing the blinds, my neighbors can't see through. Got a peace lily, 2 different snake plants, and another peace lily. Here I've got 2 more peace lilies. This one is an adjustment for me learning how often to water a giant peace lily, so that's why I've got kind of some dried leaves at the bottom. But so far I'm doing okay. I'm starting to get it down. This one is growing back. I had dried up all of the leaves. They were all crusty. Like all of the leaves had dried up. They were all crusty and dead. I cut them all back, and now you can see it's fleshing out a bunch of new leaves, and so it's doing pretty well. But I've just got them up here where they can get access to that window here. But it's not really like their permanent spot, but this is where they're hanging out for the season. And then I've got these plants here in the like window section. So I've got this plant here that I've got behind the shade so that it doesn't get too much light and get burnt, since it's got dark leaves. I know it doesn't want like a ton of light. But this other snake plant I've got in front of the curtain so that it can get more light, because I'm trying to rehab that plant from where I kept it in a dark room. This one used to be a lot more straight and happy, but it is hanging on for dear life. And although you can see it's got a lot of dried up stalks, it's still doing okay. That one I've been trying to grow back from a clipping for the last year, and I can't seem to remember to water it often enough to let it get bigger than that. This is my one and only remaining Hoya in my collection. Sometimes it flowers and blooms, and other times it doesn't. Right now it's not. This is a pothos that I had cut back all but one strand, and you can see all but this one strand, and you can see here it's getting pretty long, and we're probably going to be doing a propagation video with that pretty soon. But yeah, I have this pothos that has been rehabbed, and so I have it here in front of this big bright window so that it can be happy and grow, and it's doing just that. And that plant back there in the corner, I just tucked in there to kind of fill the space so that it can get kind of some good light, but not a lot of direct light. But because it's such a like thick plant, it definitely wants more light than it had before when I had it in a different spot. That plant and that plant are new. Both of those, I've had them about 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I don't know. They need to be repotted really, really badly. And here is a baby spider plant that fell off when I had that big giant spider plant that I showed you earlier. It used to sit here in this window, and then when I moved it to that other room so that I could have more space in here, it fell off. And so I'm trying really, really hard to propagate it. Up there, I've had that plant up there going on 5 years now. It's been that same little small planter since I got it. It's probably really, really overdue for repotting. I'll be doing some repotting videos coming up soon, so be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will start doing some chatty get to know me repot videos. So yeah, I hope you look forward to that, because I would love to sit down and do some chit chat, repot, get to know me type videos with you and for you. Yeah, anyhow, so I've also got another, that one's an Enjoy pothos that I'm trying desperately to bring back from like the brink of death. You can see there's nothing but like one little speck of a leaf poking out of there. The fiddly fig is pretty happy, but I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to keep the fiddly fig happy, but it's looking pretty happy so far. Same with the rubber tree plant. I've lost a couple of the leaves here at the bottom, but so far it's hanging on for all that it can. And then I've just got these other two snake plants that I put here in front of this bright window so that they can push out some new leaves and like some new stalks and strengthen up, which, as you can see right there from that baby growth, that is exactly what's happening. And look at that one there too. So yeah, if you want your snake plants to push out a lot of light, I mean a lot of leaves, you've got to put them in front of some good bright light. So here's a close-up of my Hoya. I really, really need to dust. Here is a close-up of like dust my plant leaves as well as dust the actual like room. But yeah, this has so many stalks in here. It didn't used to be that full when I first got it, but it has grown a lot. And because they were starting to get kind of skinny, I decided to put it here to get more light so that they can get like thicker, stronger stalks. This little baby spider plant is not doing so well to grow roots, but I'm giving it a good effort. I'm still trying. Here's my fiddly fig. I'm hoping that this one will grow. I'm probably gonna pull it out in the spring. Like, we're still getting some pretty cold nights here where I live. So I'm gonna wait another couple of weeks, and then I'm gonna repot my plants and set them outside and let some let some new growth push out on the porch. So yeah, again, be sure to subscribe to my new planty channel so that you can follow along and hang out with me while I do all of the planty things that I need to do this season coming up. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to do some repotting. I've got plants that haven't been potted up. Like, they're still in their nursery pots that I bought them in from over 5 years ago. Yeah, I'm not your perfect planty mom. I'm just doing the best I can here, but my plants are doing okay. They've been hanging in there, and I've been able to keep most of them alive despite some of the bouts of lack of watering. But I'm starting to get my planty act together, so that is what inspired me to start my new planty channel. So here is the start. Oops, here is the start of my planty channel with the start of this little baby spider plant that hopefully will grow along with the growth of my channel. So that's kind of symbolic. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already before you go. Bye.